to is effective mount attacks and effective back attacks. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead and turn. And can you actually sit over here for me?
Yes.
So, as we talked about, even when we're talking about guard passing, right, we're looking to pin one limb to the floor, right? Whether it is the limb that we have and we pin that side, aka when we do knee cutting, right? Or if we're using the top side, right, to prevent the following of control, aka preventing rotation and movement, right? If his knee is facing this way, he tries to turn that way. Only his upper body can go that way, right? I'm looking, depending on what my goal is, if either it is chest to chest connection or chest to back connection, right? And these types of pinning to the floor will dictate how I'm moving into those positions. Tracking? If it's across the body, I'm looking to gain access to the back. If it is to the floor, I'm looking to gain access to the chest. Everyone's following so far? Right? And we see this, his chest gets more open when I pin this to the floor. Right? His back gets more exposed if I pin it to the floor. So if the pinning that you are doing of the limb is on the same side, you are primarily looking to get chest connection. Tracking? As long as you are in between you and the two. If you were on the opposite side of it and you were doing it like this, you can still cause back exposure. But if you were playing anyone who is decent, this will never happen, because they're just going to position themselves in front of you, as they should. All right, because if I did this and I put my body over here, he's just going to turn his body. And now that's not a thing. Now we're going back to the chest. Does that make sense? Okay, so again, I'm looking for the chest connection. So thinking knee cut, coming in, chest connection, all right? And then I'm going to look to establish the mount, chest connection. Now, this would be a shit mount, like this, right? He's very powerful. What's the weakest mount that someone could be in? Like for him?
Like best case scenario for me?
No, worst case
Oh,
scenario.
worst case.
What do you think the worst case scenario is?
Yeah, probably you're a bit farther up.
Grapevine and underhook, all the way up.
Arms crossed straight up, right? And no foundational hip power. AKA, if I was here like this. This is the worst case scenario, except for the fact that I have very little to post out, right? We are looking to establish those underhooks in that limb pinning extension from the wrist, right? So what I'm looking to do is try to establish one or two underhooks and walk these elbows above. We're going to look at 3 submissions primarily when we're doing these. It's gonna be arm triangle, triangle, and arm bar, because we're in mount, right? Any other of those, you're now leaving mount and going into the back attack series, right? Which is fine, right? But this is what we're gonna focus on today, is attacking from mount. And what we're gonna look at is trying to attack the arm triangle, arm bar, and the triangle. But they're all gonna stem from the same thing, right? We're always going to be looking to establish one form of an underhook and get a limb extended, right? If I get so lucky that his hand is also up here and I just do this, this is not good for him, right? That will probably not be the case. You'll most likely have one hand a little lower, touching my hip or something, or trying to force space, etc., right? So, but this is my primary goal, is to get this elbow up and extended. Tracking? Okay, so how do we accomplish this goal, right? My primary thing is to look when the elbow comes away from the body, right? Anytime that the elbow leaves the body, if that through his extension, right, he comes to touch me with his hand, right? Look at how his elbow has to operate, right? This becomes an opportune time for me to either shoot a hand in along his side, right? Or to get here and lift in this fashion, right? And then I can grab it. So you'll never get it if his elbows are being super tight, right? But if his elbows being super tight, we can force it. Tracking? So I just want y'all to establish an underhook first. Super basic concept, but I just want here, underhook, right? And then once the underhook is established, get it in front and extend it. Okay? It actually benefits you if they move their knee. And the reason why is because it makes it so easy for you to rotate. To explain, right? If I start to try to fill this space with my knee, right, and he decides to rotate really hard right now, I'm not in an advantageous position, right? For me to keep mount, I have to offer up space and drop my hip, right? But that offers him the ability to basically lift this leg, right? Or to put this knee in between me and him. Granted, he's a bit bigger than me, so this might be a little bit more difficult. But like, why are these skinny people, you know, who are also the same size as me, probably be able to fill that space because they're gonna turn, right? They're gonna open up that hip space, right? Sage, skinny people.
Why is that equal then?
Right? So what I'm actually like looking for is to get the underhook with my body and chest connection, right? If I have to move my knees, both of these things have to stop, right? I can't have real chest connection and get my knee up, right? We're both off balance there. Right? So, knees are a powerful thing to open them up. All right, let's say he's here and I'm not having great success, right? Obviously, you can always, you know, give him a little touches, see if he puts his hand a little higher, right? As soon as the hand comes higher, look what happens to the elbow. Shelfable, right? I'm looking for the shelf, right? If I'm here and I can't get anything, right? Transition my hip. You see I'm resting my hip here. Then I'm looking to get any type that I can shelf. Now, when we're going for the underhook, right? Oftentimes people's hands will go basically to your throat, just like so, right? We are looking to straighten this hand and put it either on the opposite side of our head, like so, or to push it all the way across. So if I was here and working this up and it comes across, this is the gift wrap. I'm working, he's pressing in, right, and I do this. This is a shoulder crunch. It just doesn't look like it because I'm on top. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Perfect. Right, so this is the setup that we're going for to get into the arm triangle. Right, working it up. If we get to this point and we're like, all right, I would recommend you always go for the gift wrap first. And then pin this hand and work for a second underhook. Even if he tries to fight and prevent me from going to the like dominant positions here, it'd be very hard for you, correct? Right? I can have more extension, go into the S mount, do the arm bars, etc. Right? If I'm here, have this kind of control, working that underhook, right? His ability to rotate, can you rotate for me? Very limited, right? His ability to stop me from causing back exposure, very limited. This is one of the most secure ways of moving from mount to back control while guaranteeing basically 2 hooks. Having back control with no hooks is like a crapshoot and kind of pointless, right? I take that back. Lowers the chance of percentaging on a back finish, not pointless. Take that shoe off. We're here, achieve either goal you want. I recommend trying to go for passing the elbow across, right? And establishing cross-body control. And if you can get the underhook, this is key, right? Now, if we're doing this and they try to weave their hand in between me and my armpit, basically, This will cause a great deal of problem, right? People would think. If this happens, pull the elbow to the other side. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need to see that again? So we're here, and we're looking to establish that gift wrap, right? And then the pinning of the wrists or an underhook, right? If they start to turn, this opens up the arm triangle where it's already super deep, right? If they stay flat with us, this arm triangle would be very hard, right? Flat people are hard to do this with. Does that make sense? Now, if he's rotated this way, also hard to do it. So if you can get someone that is slightly turned, so you can get your hand in and then flatten them out, this will be the key, right? Obviously the mechanics of this is simple, right? I'm looking to squeeze this side and squeeze this side so there's no space in between, right? And these things close off the space, right? How much I can apply pressure determines whether or not my shoulder is on the top position, on the side position, where my arms are, right? I'm looking to get my elbow as close to his neck as possible, right? I'm looking to get my chin / head to the floor, basically. My hand should be connected, not required, makes it better, right? You can do this by just cupping here, swapping, getting lower and closing. That will in fact choke someone out, right? It works better if your hands are connected because you're stronger and it's harder for him to break it.
Are you tucking your elbow when your hands are connected?
Yes.
Okay.
Am I doing this?
Yeah.
Where I'm touching his body?
Yeah.
Yes. I am. You don't have to, but I would recommend it. I'm actually, when I do this, you see how his body does this little like push?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pushing on his rib cage just a little to get his head to kind of like press into my armpit. My bicep, right? And my head's gonna be driving into that space that he's trying to fill, right? So if I'm here and I do this, you see how it takes him out of alignment?
Mm-hmm.
Makes it harder for him to fight, but it also makes it harder for him to follow me. So it allows me to get here if I choose to off or get off and drop. Does that make sense?
Head to floor, ear to ear.
I don't actually recommend getting off, right? The value of this position is I can just spam it, right? All I'm doing is tiring him out,
Yeah.
right? So like we're in mount, you wanna just play a little bit? I have the control. Why move, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have the submission if we choose to have that submission. If we're here, we're like, cool. Same concept, right? We can move into submission if we choose to. Does that make sense? Right? But I don't do these until the person is ready to give it to me. I'm cooking, right? I want this person to be a little bit more tired because all they're doing is carrying my weight, right? If I just do this, all he's doing is carrying me, I'm just kind of laying here, right? So every time that I get an arm up and he drives into my throat or any of that kind of stuff and I go, whoop, he's still carrying me. I'm doing very little. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Vice versa. This is why mount, I think, is more effective for tiring someone in the back. If I am on his back and he's driving into me,
Yeah.
who's carrying whose weight here,
Yeah.
right? Arguably, I'm getting more tired. Whose breathing's being controlled, right? So if I'm like, right, and I get in gas, all he's doing is laying there,
Yeah.
right? If you're not having effective attacking systems. Well, we can do the same thing to them in mount. We're just kind of cooking until we can get what we want. And there's also less downside because we can always disengage when we choose, right? So God forbid there's another person, etc., you can always just stand the fuck up and walk off. If you have someone's back, that's not always the case. If he wanted to keep me on the floor while I had his back, he could do so. Do you think you could do so? I think you could do so.
Easier than that.
Yeah. Like, do you think you could keep me on the floor and mount?
Not nearly as long.
Get off, man. Get off, man. Right? And the reason why that's just not an actual possibility is because as soon as I touch your face, your hands can't extend far enough. Does that make sense? Right? So like if we're in mount and he decides he wants to attach to me or whatever, and he's like, I don't want him to stand up. Right? And as soon as I do this, my ability to stand up is not going to be impeded.
Yeah.
Because his arms, even if he has his arms wrapped around me and I touch his face,
Yeah.
he does not have the arm length for this to be possible. If he was Mr. Fantastic, sure, but he's not. Not that he's not fantastic. Anyway, when we're looking at this, the ability to hook, control, stop motion, right, is key, right? And just even here when I'm not like super tight, this doesn't feel tight, right? That was super easy, wasn't it? So this is the kind of goal that we're looking to achieve. Turn this way a little bit. This, right here, right? Now, if he puts his hand on my hip or any of that kind of other stuff, this will have an effect, right? If he tries to escape, go ahead. You see how he has a lot of power like this, as soon as he has his hand on my hip or any of that fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to address it. We can do this with an underhook, right? Or we simply swap back and establish our underhook in this fashion. Does that make sense? And then we can go back to establishing, right? And we can attack all three of the submissions this way. We can go from S-mount, we can go for arm bars, we can go for triangles, we can go for arm triangles. Arm triangles, I think, are the safest option that you can just continue to go because it doesn't require me to put my upper body and my lower body in the same plane, right? When I do triangles and I do arm bars, oftentimes it requires me to put both of my body parts on the shoulder line. And this is not in the case where I can just sit on someone's throat, right? Sitting on someone's throat is probably the most powerful way of controlling your shoulder line. And I won't have enough mobility and spatial access to get there, to sit on his throat. Do you know what I mean when I say sit on the throat?
No.
Okay. This is Kesa, right? But I'm sitting on your chest. I'm sitting on your throat now.
Mm-hmm.
Can you move as effectively as I was right here?
No.
Right. Throat. Same thing with, it's like side control.
Mm-hmm.
Many people think side control is here. Do you feel as effective when I'm like this?
Different ways.
Your hips are very
Yeah.
your hips are very mobile,
Mhm.
right? But the shoulder line is very
Yeah.
very taxed, and this is what I'm actually looking for. Because where are the attacks when you're in side control? They're in the
Shoulder.
upper body. You don't see people from side control attacking legs,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can see them transition back into legs.
Mhm.
They don't attack legs from side control because it's not effective. So if I know my primary goal is to attack your chest,
Mm-hmm.
I should be isolating to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So play around with just getting the control and then the finishing mechanics of the arm triangle. And if you guys have issues with the control points, work to get the underhook again and then feed back into them because it will remove their ability to rotate.